To be fair. Good evening, everyone. I am a Brad Chester, the tallest man in 40K, in this motley group of folk, stuff, and things. You guys can choose which one of those you are. Introduce yourself. I'll start at the top right with the largest beard tonight.
Hello.
Yeah, Brad, I just wait before anyone introduces. Brad, you understand none of us know who's at the top when you start talking, right?
I know.
Well, I don't care.
Don't let people
Always at the
behind.
top.
Don't let people see behind the curtain. Okay.
Look, man, I know. So that's all that counts.
Well, I am Kyle Treya, the most employable man in 40K. Tell your friends.
Tell your
Tell your
friends.
bosses.
He's so
I am Stephen Crawley, Grandmaster, Random Player in StarCraft 2. Oh wait, wrong podcast. My bad.
I'm Lyle Dixon, the hardest working member of Death or Glory.
Is that a high bar?
I said what I said.
yeah, like Mike drop. He's out of here. Ha! Take that. You see the same height as me? Yeah, talking about me being short. Damn it! I'm deceptively tall. We did stuff. We had stuff happen over the weekend. We had the faction focus of Imperial Guard happen. So I guess you could say Astra Militarum, which I'm never ever going to say because they'll always be IG to me. Uh-oh. Eloise says she's got a job for you. You're just going to walk around holding her pocket.
I will take it if it pays well. But I won't take a job in Tennessee because gross.
I was gonna say, if you move to Tennessee before you move to Michigan, after all the things I've tried to do to get you a job in Michigan, I will lose it.
But Kyle, you can come to the events with me and Sean all the time. Think of all the cool events that we could have.
Way more than in North Carolina.
That is absolutely. Man, Tennessee is such an upgrade from North Carolina. I'm not saying over Michigan. I got nothing there, but over North Carolina, that's definitely an upgrade.
Kyle wants to move to Michigan because he really loves the winter weather. When you go to this latitude, longitude, whichever one's north, I don't remember.
It's longitude.
Kyle loves cold weather. I can promise.
I love when we get to form the Kalile, otherwise known as the Diet Coke of Voltron.
The Kalile.
I feel like I could outdrink Voltron in a Diet Coke contest.
Ooh, I don't know. That's 5 lions that form one large mega bot.
Yeah, but how many of them are morbidly obese, Brad?
Well, one of them is. Literally one of the lions. That dude is super big.
Especially if you go into middle 80s cartoon genre where we're trying to have as many of the static tropes as we possibly can.
You guys want to talk about the meta? Do you want to talk about IG? Or do you want to talk about the fact that they just haven't really released anything that says that Melee is very good so far?
No, you're wrong. Stop. Full stop. I'm taking over. Brad,
get
your belt.
You have to choose
get your belt.
One of them.
Put your belt on camera right now.
My belt's over there somewhere.
No,
Go get the belt. We'll entertain the masses, Brad. I want the belt on camera.
You want the belt on camera? You know what? I will get the belt.
It needs to be over your shoulder, Brad.
I will grab double belts then.
We're gonna have to make.
So what we're talking about, for those of you who did not watch the stream last week, we did have our Death or Glory Invitational this week, and the only reason Brad came on Sunday because he was not feeling well, because he was determined to win the championship belt. It was an actual WWE style championship belt, and Brad was refused to not walk away with that belt. So I expect him to just start walking around now doing the Roman Reigns acknowledge me stance at everybody. So.
What? Just rocking the 2 champ belt.
Oh, these.
Did you steal one?
No, I won the other one in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. I thought you were at one point. I heard someone saying they were going to steal the painting belt. So I didn't know if you just stole the painting one and took that one too.
I thought about doing that too. I just enjoy having the belt. Let's be honest. I don't have to win them. I just wanted them. No. What up? What up?
So Brad did manage to win the Invitational this year. Failed last year. So I want to say you're only 1 for 2, Brad.
Oh, that is true.
You could have had 3 belts if you had won last year.
Dude.
So what is your, now that you have a pro wrestling belt, Brad, what is your catchphrase going to be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Right now it's going to be something with howling with Space Wolf, so. Oh, man, Hunter's talking some shit.
Fair,
I say it is.
That should be your catchphrase, yeah.
To be fair. So, these are large. These belts are just bigger than I am, so.
Those are not
those are significant
children's wrestling belts. Those are real belts.
Those are definitely shame on Brad. I've won with a little bit of everything. I do have total ADD when it comes to army selection. I play what I happen to think is fun right then. This is true. I'm calling Garrett out for this because we gave Garrett the option of playing a 2v2 with all the people because we separated into pods. And for game 5, we said we would play a 2-on-2 game. And he didn't want to do it.
You're lending a lot of...
I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to do that either. That would have been me and Garrett versus you and Alan. That doesn't sound fun.
You guys are doing a really good job of lending a lot of legitimacy to the ITC rankings that we use at this event.
Look, man, it's all about we're playing with tiny soldiers. We ended up having to follow the regular rules for a tournament. Fine.
At one point, Alan was suggesting we just cancel round 6 and do a team tournament instead. So
true, but he also was doing anything in his power to get to Chicago faster.
Yeah. He had he may have had the longest drive home. No, I think Matt drove back to Georgia.
No, I was say, Zoobs and Brian drove back to Rochester, New York. That's 7 hours.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
man.
We had the guys up in up north drove up north. Like it was Anna's group and Brenton's group had a long drive. There was a lot of people that drove a long way home after that.
Yeah,
so
we appreciate it.
It was a fun weekend, though. It was a fun weekend.
Yeah. So we had I was saying Brandon Vella. I don't know. I have no idea. It's 7 hours. It could be a tie, a 2-way tie.
But they got lucky because had to come into town for work related reasons anyway, so they didn't actually have to drive home. So.
This is true. John did put up with us. DeFrank's always the best sport.
I told John I don't understand how he keeps volunteering to not just let people sleep at his house, but he entertains while everyone's there. That's the part that seems exhausting.
And he also lets me drink 1 glass of wine.
And so you're mad about that?
No, it's one. He just gives me a glass that fits an entire bottle of wine. So.
I thought you were complaining that there's only 1 glass.
Nope. He left to Georgia. Holy shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew Matt drove back to Georgia. He got there this morning. He drove all through the night.
Well, DOG representing, coming from all over the Guam or anywhere else. Loving life, living large.
I was so glad that we had so many people, Death or Glory and not Death or Glory people, who were very passionate about coming out to the event.
Well, T Valkyrie showed up in mass.
Oh yeah, we had people from Watchers in the Dark. I don't know if they're in chat right now. I don't know if there was more than 2 of them, but at least 2 of them made top pod. We had a huge Valkyrie gaming crew there that showed up and was awesome. They're always awesome to have around and hang out with. Anna's group's just real fun. I don't remember if there were any other non-DOG teams there, but we had 7 different DOG teams show up, which was great. So it was a super fun weekend. No problems at all. Sportsmanship was first and foremost. Everyone was having a good time. Everyone was trying to make sure we had the most fun games possible. I didn't hear anyone complain about any of their games or their opponents or anything like that. It was as excellent of a weekend of 40K as you could hope for.
So from year to year, did you experience growth? What was last year to this year in attendance?
Well,
I think it got a little bit smaller this year.
It wouldn't have, but it got weird with how we organized it because they wanted to sell more tickets, and then we thought we were going to cap anyways, so we didn't let them sell more tickets, and then we ended up with 50 instead of 64.
It was smaller in a way that wasn't really meaningful. Like then there was like at least 4 or 5 people, because we ended up with I think 48, 49, or 50 people who actually played on day one. And we had like 4 or 5 people that dropped last minute because just life happened. So it was basically the same size as last year.
Because we were trying to keep it like capped at 64 at maximum. So like we had like a bunch of weird stuff happen, but stuff is stuff. It was a good weekend. We had a lot of different factions there, and we had some people that lost their mind and brought a wild faction. So I won't even.
We should have got Mike Henderson on this stream.
This is true. So Mike decided that he was just going to bring a all Sisters of Silence army.
Well, pure Sisters of Silence, 2,000 points.
Yep.
Did you guys give him a handicap so that he could win the entire thing, like a 30-point handicap?
He would have needed slightly more.
Yeah. He did get. There was 1,000 Suns player in the event, and they did get paired together in round 5, which was. That was a crazy game, from my understanding. That the psychic spells obviously didn't do anything, but apparently the Thousand Suns players just had like 2-ups on all their saves because of all his dust and whatnot, and all the Sisters of Silence weapons are terrible. But he still only rolled 1s the entire game.
Nice.
So it didn't matter,
dude. It was literally boss mode. I'm so excited to have seen it.
He went 3-3 with Sisters of Silence.
I mean, it's boss mode. Speaking of people rocking it out, let's talk about Mr. Crawley right now, sitting at number 2 in ITC.
Am I still number 2 in ITC?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I pulled it up for you.
I'm actually flabbergasted because Europeans have way too many events, and Mr. Manny Chima is way too far ahead. I think he's got me by like 200 points right now, right?
I mean, that'll all even out by the end of the year, though, right?
Yeah. No. ITC is a marathon. Last year, I treated it like a sprint, and it made it not so much fun. This year, I have almost all of my competitive events all planned out for the entire year of where I'm going then, so it makes it much more enjoyable and relaxing. Next of which is Kansas. No, Rocky Top.
So you got Rocky Top, we have MCM.
The week after that, right?
KC's the week after that.
Yeah.
I should probably figure out how I'm getting there and where I'm staying.
You have it worse, Brad, because you have it MCM, Kansas, and then ACO immediately following the next weekend.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too.
And I believe I heard Brad tell someone last night that he would then go to battle for the capital the week after Kansas City.
I just assume I'm playing in a tournament every weekend for like the entire summer.
I think you have 3 GTs in a row at this point.
And
Brad is the adult that just gets checked out, so they come over to the house and check him out of the library and then bring him back at the end of the weekend.
Exactly. I'm like, what? Huh? Here he is back. I should figure out, because
as long as someone drives by Brad's house, he'll go to any tournament.
This is also true. You're welcome, Anna. I actually don't know how I'm getting to any of these events or where I'm staying, so I should probably figure that out sometime between now and then.
You've already double booked yourself because Capital City and Atlantic City are both the same weekend, so good job.
I can figure this out. I can do this.
Instant transmission, playing on 2 tables.
There's just no way you survive all of these tournaments, right? We'll strap you onto the front of me, and I'll carry you around. You don't have to walk.
I mean, I did literally want to not go to the second day because I was feeling so bad yesterday. I'm glad I went. But I got browbeat. Alan basically told me that he would drag me to the event if I did not come. So, yes. I played easy game. I had so much fun playing Space Wolves, by the way. Such a good faction.
You did at least once get to teach people the power of Wolfen, I know.
Yes.
Or I'm sorry, of
Wolfen. Man. You cosplay me one? Or you're going to walk around on your knees the entire time? You
can cosplay as Brad. Just be a 4-foot tall corpse.
He's more than a foot taller than me. Like, legitimately.
You do the thing where you put the shoes on your knees, Brad. It's easy.
I don't know if I'm taller than him if he's on his knees.
Okay, kittens, it's time to herd kittens because we do have topics that we needed to
Well,
talk about today.
Fine, if you're gonna be like, I gave you guys options, and then
I know
Lyle yelled at me.
we're going to guard so that we can guard will lead us wonderfully into the next topic.
Can
which-
do.
First part of the guard reveal is yes, shoot me with your AP1 battle cannons while I stand in cover. I am intimidated by this so much.
Now, they kept born soldiers, but now you can't move, which I do think is a big deal because a lot of times you were looking to get that volume of fire from things like first rank, second rank after you advanced up and you shot everything, and there's a lot of
Now there was a buff at least to first rank, second rank, so that's nice.
yeah, because they basically just said improve the characteristic rapid fire weapons, which is a big deal.
Yeah, so that works on your plasmas now, which is nice.
Yep.
So
The other nice thing, if you read that, by the way, orders don't appear to be specified unless it's in a different part of the deck, between mechanized and normal. So that means that you don't run into well, my dude here can issue 3 orders from any prefect or any group, but this guy can only issue prefectus orders, and this guy can only issue. So that should help with the maintenance in the phase a bit.
We're assuming, obviously,
Yeah.
all of this is, we have like probably less than 10% of the information right now.
I would imagine 5%. But yeah, the take cover seemed really, really good, especially stacking with cover as well.
Yeah, well, it gets to a max of 3, which is I do like the fact that this goes not just to the guard but to everybody, and the fact that they're making that cover saves effectively. You're just going to 3-ups and stuff. You know what I mean? So I do like that we're not just taking 0-up saves in a lot of things so far.
I have had a couple people reach out to me saying that it is my fault for using Terminators with Storm Shields and cover. I cannot take any responsibility for this.
You know what?
Wasn't Manny Chima running a bunch of Terminators with Storm Shields?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but Europeans don't get credit for wrecking the meta. It's always the Americans that can blame for everything.
This is true. This is what we do.
You would think you would blame the top ranked player in ITC.
I will yell at Brandon. Eloise goes, "Can we just make fun of Brandon for being first loser on battle and first loser on artisan?" So, yes, love and life, live and large. I think that take aim, if it can be put on everybody, is going to be pretty big deal too. I didn't see it says 1 eligible friendly unit, so it doesn't seem that they're splashing them this time either.
Well, there's another line in there that talks about if it gets affected by another order, so I imagine splashing will probably still exist.
By the characters, you think?
There was a line that said something about like certain old school regiments could like double up on their orders or something like that. I don't remember the way they phrased it, but they mentioned like Catachans or Cadians or something like that. So there may be something going on there. We'll have to wait and see.
So this brings us to the Cadian shock troops.
That war gear ability, dude.
The one where they get to ignore the Voxcaster.
Voxcaster. Ooh, jeez. I mean, in a world where it looks like we're going to be really low on CP, that's a big deal.
Yeah, especially with the number of them that you'll probably be including.
Right. And so basically you're rolling a 5-up until you basically make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting a
That's
CP.
if the rule still exists where you're only capped at gaining 1
I mean,
CP
true. You could be just spamming. That could be like when you used to play a Castellan, Blood Angels, and Guard, and just got infinite CP.
What is your CP? Yes.
Yes.
Good old loyal 32.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, the shock troops ability, them actually making sticky objective like Space Marines have, and of course as some of the missions second, as a standard rule is very appetizing. The Tyranid players are a little bit upset about the fact that there's one army that Shadows on the Warp doesn't work against, which I say guffaw to you. But it's really interesting that we're making the data sheets as diverse as the ones that we've seen so far, right? So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't even know what to say to. Is that a Shadow Sun in your pants, or are you happy to see my monolith?
Both.
Also, it was really jacked up that in 8th and 9th, the monolith just didn't have fly, even though it's a spaceship.
I played against a guy at Chicago, and I just let him play his monoliths as if they had flag because I didn't. You were playing monoliths at that point. I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, it's just you're like, I'm not sure how we're getting this thing out. Apparently, they just give it a boost and it gets going. Like it literally is a spaceship. So
let people play their cool stuff.
You know, let's talk about the fact that ye old Baneblade is OBSEC 8.
Objective Control 8. Sir.
Sorry, my bad.
No, the Baneblade is going to be interesting, especially now that it gives cover.
Well, the fact that like they made all the tanks be able to fight better. The thing's got 8 attacks. I'm sorry, 6 attacks of strength 8, and hit on 4s. So apparently you can get punked in the head by a Baneblade.
Yeah, I wish it had AP on it, but not a lot has AP now.
I mean, I'm assuming that dudes are just opening, closing doors on you while you're trying to hit the tank.
Smack, door smack. The barrel's just swinging around in a circle.
I do like also that they made it so that, and this has been all the tanks, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, that it's no longer declining profile. It's just if you get down to the lowest, that's just it. There's not a 1, 2, 3
It's gonna
step.
make it a lot easier to not have to do math randomly.
Well, it's not even just math, but it also just the tank stays relevant longer. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense that if it's super fucked up, yeah, it'll be busted. But like, I always thought the middle profile was just stupid. You're like, it's kind of hurt, but not really hurt. You're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and some models just degrade like absolute crap, like Chaos Primarchs, like especially like Mortarion, his attacks degrade. It's like so much of the things degrade on him. It's like, why does it need to degrade that far? He's still a Primarch. He's still a badass.
All of the things, some of the stuff. These things are going to be big. I'm wondering what kind of terrain we're going to play on a lot. I mean, because like things like the Banebane Cannon with 3d6 attacks, you know, we've seen a lot of reduction in AP if you've noticed. You know what I mean? Battle Cannon AP 1. I mean, the only one not is the ultimate cannon of the Volcano Cannon, which I just cracked up. We were talking about before. First off, 96 inches, because sometimes you want to tell somebody on a different table, fuck your models.
Look, man, you've got to remember there's an Apocalypse meta, all right? You can't discount the Apocalypse players.
Sure.
Okay?
You're like, how about 2 tables over? That dude's gonna die. You know why? Straight 24, AP 5, damage 12. For when you absolutely, positively have to overkill something. This is what's going down. The best part is, you'll be shooting that into like cultists or something. You're just like, well, 3 cultists totally died badly.
I like on the Baneblade's like little data slate, there's just like 9 weapons. Ranged weapons, there's just 9 of them. You just shoot all of them. Who cares? Like, you just get 9 times to shoot 100 billion shots, all D6, D3, 3. Like, who cares? You're just killing whatever you look at.
Does it get all of them?
It has most of them, to be honest with you. Because the thing is just armed. If you look at like what you get with the Baneblade, it has like guns shooting out of everywhere.
But like just the picture that it shows is the heavy bolters, the coaxial.
Yeah. And then you've got a lot of shit happening there. Yeah, you've got some shit happening here.
We also see with this the reversal of the 8th, 9th edition of we don't want to give you free data sheets. So now reinforcements is a stratagem where if you kill a unit of dudes, they just come back, which is fantastic because sometimes you want to threaten something and it gives you more craft.
Here's something crazy. Let's talk about that stratagem, okay?
Okay.
So ready, reinforcements, any phase. That's the big deal, by the way. Any phase. 1 regiment unit from your army that was just destroyed, you can use the stratagem on that unit even though it was just destroyed. Effect. Add a new unit to your army identical to your destroyed unit in strategic reserves at its starting strength with all of its wounds remaining. So it's not like they can kill it and then it reses, where it is, and then you beat the shit out of it again. It's now in reserve. Can't use it on characters, but like things like Sentinels had the regiment keyword. We'll see if they still do. You know what I mean? And
I did not put that together.
yeah, man.
That was great, Daily.
3-man unit of Sentinels, all of a sudden you're like, surprise! Also,
Brad thought earlier that Bane or Rogel Dorns had it, and I had to explain it was just the Sentinels.
yeah. I'm
Oh,
bringing
no.
back my
In the
Rogue.
article, it specifically says your core infantry squads and even the fast-moving Rough Riders and Sentinel teams.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, if I'm playing guard, I'm probably going to save a lot of my CP to churn infinite Sentinels back. That sounds good.
Well, honestly, the reason I didn't like playing Rough Riders was because they're paper thin. If I could just suicide them, they die, and I bring them back immediately for another charge, I will do that. I'll play some Rough Riders then.
I mean, screw Rough Riders. I mean, the only reason I want Rough Riders is just so I can sing DMX songs. But
Man, just think about the fact of like using this within like the category of like the different random be in a place and do a thing.
yeah,
Like, hey, I sacrificed these guys to take the middle to force you to interact with it, and now they come back, and next turn they R&D for me in the corner. Oh, you killed them again? I'm going to have them R&D the other corner now.
oh, you killed him again? Oh, cool. And then you killed my Sentinels. Oh, I'm on your backboard and shooting glass cannons at you. Bummer. Like,
Well, you have to imagine that this is indicative that the other similar armies to guard infantry will get a similar rule. You would have to think, like orcs or Tyranids or GSC, or I mean, anyone who's reasonably a horde army could maybe expect that this might be a thing coming their way as well.
If I can respawn my Yon, whatever my unit of oh crap, what are they called? The Leapers. Death Leapers. If I can respawn my unit of Death Leapers and Tyranids.
yeah, but also, how many guys can I get in one of these units now?
That's also a question.
It's on the data sheet, right? For every 10 models.
Yeah, so I'm saying, is it 20 or 30? No, unit composition.
20. Yeah, it says there you cannot select the same weapon more than unless it contains 20 models.
Yeah.
So 20.
I mean, that's a big deal to bring even back 20 dudes. That's like
Now,
you
we're
get
assuming that with 20 dudes, that strategy will not bring back anybody attached to the unit, right?
true, but the thing with that is still when you get closer to the end of the game and you have less resources and you all of a sudden you bring in a 20-man mob on your opponent's backboard edge, you know what I mean? That's seriously, you know what I mean?
That's pretty fantastic.
Right.
It's crazy value for 2CP. It's insane.
It also doesn't have like a once a game deal. That's just basically I just go, cool. You're like, what are you doing with your CP? I'm bringing shit back like every turn.
And they talked about a few of the enhancements on the bottom. One of the ones that's fantastic there is Drill Commander now lets you get critical hits, which means auto wounding on 5s and 6s. So yeah, you have to remain stationary for that. But I imagine that we'll see ways for the book for specific units or things to count as remaining stationary, even if they move or advance or whatever. That's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, I mean it's a big deal on that. I just think that you can get some super value on that. Also, if you're really going into take cover because of things like the Baneblade, we'll see if any more have it, which has effectively gives it everything around it cover because it is a piece of cover.
Yep.
So, and the thing is that we've seen a reduction in a lot of the regular APs, so you're going to see a decent amount of guards, especially bringing 20-man units. You know what I mean? We'll see what they cost, of course. You know what I mean? But that's a big deal, man. I actually think that guard sounds scary.
I'm just waiting for my what are the things called? The turrets in Space Marines that are garbage that are supposed to come down from the sky and they're just terrain pieces. What are they called?
What's his face? Fortress, whatever they are, the rocket things.
Yeah, those are going to be good now. Just watch. They'll get the actual Terran Marine bunker rule where the Marines can actually get in them and they'll have like a transport capacity and they'll be open top so you can shoot out of them.
Oh
now.
God, firing platform 20, and you're just going to put all of your dev squads in there.
They get the drop pod rule so they actually come down on turn 1 like the lore says, and then you have your dudes get into them and start shooting out
Hammerfall
of them.
bunker. Hammerfall bunker.
Hammerfall bunker.
You just drop down with all of your dev teams and just shoot out of it.
Yes.
Look, I'm basically looking for the first 2 books of 10th edition to let me play StarCraft. That's what I want.
You're going to have it. It's going to be Terran versus Zerg. And that's like, oh, I am so excited.
I just love that piece of terrain in like the logistics of it. Here's just like guys pushing it out of space and just like, get in this building. We're gonna drop it down there. This sounds not great, guys. It'll work. Trust me.
I mean, it's not the worst thing I've seen in any of these books.
So I will say that like seeing a lot of the things that have come out, what we have currently, and how I'd say like the design of them is pretty well thought out. It's giving me a lot of hope that 10th is going to drop and like Index isn't going to be shitty and we're going to have actual planned out armies. Because this, like for Guard, these things that we were given today seem really cool. They seem like they've been planned and tested. So I'm excited instead of apprehensive now about 10th.
See, my counterpoint to that is the Necron spoilers, because as someone who has a Necron army, I would love to play the one that was Necrons on Friday, I think.
Yeah.
So when they talked about the Necron stuff, which I guess we could talk about too, since that came out since our last video, that did not get me as hype as anything that the other 4 armies that have been leaked. I think excited their player base.
Reanimation
so that
became
leads me to conclude one of two things: either they're going to be inconsistent with their indexes, or they're just going to be wildly inconsistent with their articles. I hope it's the second one, but I guess history hasn't proved the first one.
We know that a couple factions are going to be a hot turd on a stick, so just accept that fact and move on with your life. Also, yes, I do want to go to
I got 60 painted warriors, Brad. I need to use them.
I do want to say that I like KR's quote of the Hammerfall Bunker. He just wants to have one so he can say that he's dropping the hammer. I just want to say that. I don't do it once and never play it again. So the fact that they made reanimation protocols effectively, I like it from a simplicity factor, but it is significantly less than it was before.
Yeah. You've taken out any opportunity to luck your way into a good position, and just for the consistency of doing it the same every time.
Yeah, but that does clean up a lot of shit, because that reanimation protocols is always kind of awkward and everything else. So I don't mind this, and you probably have ways to do it more than once. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's what I said. Like, maybe the Necrons are fine, and they're just being inconsistent with the ability to hype up the armies with the way they're writing these articles.
Hey, man. Monoliths can fly again, yo.
That makes them at least, playable now, right? That was the issue. They couldn't move around most tables because they couldn't fly.
Particle Whip doing nasty business. Death Rays doing
I'm sure
death
we're
ray
going to see
things.
way more people put 3 monoliths on a table now.
That is true. Corey's got a point on that. The armies that might be underpowered in the index are the armies that are going to immediately get a codex. You know what I mean?
Okay, you say that, but Space Marines get the first one. Do they feel underpowered with what we've seen so far?
Oh, I hope they're OP as
Absolutely.
hell. I feel that they're not even playable, man. And I feel that I feel that none of you should play them when I see you in a tournament. So I'm playing double Oath of Moment with only things that do mortals on 6s. So
you were saying, Lyle, about the reanimation protocol, but so the warriors have their number as legion, their special, additional reanimation protocol. What if most of the standard troops have their number as legion built in? Then isn't it mathematically close to what it was?
No, because so the issue is with Necrons right now is that the reanimation protocol just makes them actually durable enough to survive the attack. That's always been the issue with Necrons. You don't get to reanimate if you're already wiped, or at least historically and currently. You don't get to reanimate if they kill you all the way out. Now, maybe Necrons will have something like this guard thing to put them back. That would be a huge deal, and it would be thematically appropriate for them to be able to rise up out of the ground. But if they don't change that, then taking away the front-loaded durability makes them actually significantly worse, because you're not going to survive long enough to reanimate.
I could see that.
Especially with Oath of Moment running around.
Yeah, I do wish that they had made when they did the weapon focus, and they showed the Doomsday Cannon. I really hate the fact that they're still staying with D6 attacks on them, It's just
It's D6+1, which is definitely better.
It's better than it used to be because it was just straight. But like, I hate the sheer randomness on shots because it's hard to figure out what you're going to be efficient into and what your probable outcome is. You know what I mean? So I hate that a little bit.
I would love to, and I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know that it's likely, but we've talked about how you made mention last week about how a lot of these rules are very reminiscent of things we see in Age of Sigmar. They use Age of Sigmar to kind of test out cool ideas that they want to try out. The vampire army, the Soulblight Gravelords, I think, in Age of Sigmar. I don't know. Their new book just came out. I don't play Age of Sigmar, so I don't really know. But I was thinking about getting into them in their last book. They had a rule where you could put out tombstones on the table when the game started. And anywhere you put a tombstone, you had an ability that you could raise the dead in that graveyard and basically deep strike skeletons or zombies right there. I would love to see something like that with Necrons, where you can like pick random spots on the table and the Necrons like in the middle of the game, just like kind of like G-Steel or Cult Blips. Like they could just literally come out there because that's where they were buried eons ago. I think that would be super cool and interesting to see something like that.
I can see that. I mean, the more shenanigans you have, the more I like. But I do like a lot of complexity in the game. So that is my personal taste for it. So, yes. I like the ability to just be able to do stuff in the movement phase or just any phase to manipulate the battlefield. That always feels so strong, as opposed to just pure firepower down anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal on that. Well, you know what? I'm going to ask, what's your guys' favorite out of anything that's been released? What favorite unit or gun or just really anything, to be honest, so far that they've revealed?
I mean, I only played 2 of the armies that came out so far. So I guess the thing that kind of has me interested is Guilliman himself, because I have this Guilliman that I've never put on the table, and it would be fun to play him. And his rules look much improved over let me rephrase that. His rules look like they're way cooler. I don't know if they're better, but they seem that they have a higher ceiling of coolness, I guess, in the way it could go. So that would be interesting to play with.
Yeah. I am wondering about wound caps, if they're going to do any wound caps on people.
They didn't announce any for Guilliman or Abaddon, did they?
Mm-mm. So both of them not. And we'll see if they... It
would be real hard to put a wound cap on a character that can join a unit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, the thing
that
is...
That would be weird.
Yeah, and the thing is that we'll see how it is when the people that are lone operators. We're going to have to see also if, like, people give that bodyguard, like Victrix Guard and stuff like that for Bobby G and other characters, how they're going to make it so he's not just straight targeted all the time. Because you can get angles on a lot of those big guys, you know what I mean, to make them. So we'll see how that works with just smaller. Because it's going to be, as the game goes on, it's going to be much difficult for the guys that can't join the units.
Yeah.
Did you guys already discuss Necrons? I know you're discussing them in a little bit, but did you discuss that they're probably going to be a vehicle faction?
It looks like it because some of them were, in I like the fact that they had the stay still and it just gains mortals. That's kind of a big deal. Also, the Spear of the Void Dragon's boss mode.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see at least early Necron builds being predominantly Catan and vehicle focused with a few characters. And then having some troop for scoring, but not a lot.
What I had posited that if Necrons get something similar to this guard reinforcement strat, where the Necron warriors can reanimate, which would make sense, that could make them way more playable than what the rules currently indicate the warriors could be. But we'll have to wait and see.
I'm kind of hoping that like that strat is for the majority of factions. Not the elite ones, sorry, Space Marines. But the majority of the factions do get an access of like being able to revive a trooper or something like that for their faction to resemble them being shambling hordes. Like, I do not want to see Custodes having that, please.
No, absolutely.
But Necrons would be, GSC would be good. Actually, to be honest, most of the Xenos armies would be a good way in that way. Guard.
You mean anything that's like lore accurate, where you couldn't just like poop in 3 Custodes because there's only 45 of them in existence or whatever?
Demons need to be able to do it for free every turn, because it's like literally their thing is just like these hordes of
overwhelming numbers. Yes.
Yeah, like I want 20-man squads back. Please, GW, please.
We're going
If they
around
brought
talking.
guardsmen back to 20, it's not unreasonable to think they would do it with demons.
Give me 30-man squads back. My 30-man Slanesh horde of death and destruction.
Mids do already have a model resurrection strat, but it requires you to have big fatty Turvagons, which, by the way, I did not realize until this weekend. I played Horton, he played a Turvagon, and that model is disgusting.
Yes, when painted correctly, it's nasty.
There's gross shit happening. Like, it's like pretty graphic, man. It's like, whoa, man. Like, settle down. Ooh,
Well, let's get back to like going around. We'll go to Crawley next. Brad asked, what model are you most excited about?
That you've seen revealed so far. Model or gun or whatever. You know what I mean? Model, gun, character.
Oh, that's hard. You know, honestly, probably the biggest thing is the Spear of the Void Dragon, because that model is sexy and just hasn't been able to do as much this edition. And I think it's in a really good case where it's going to be able to do quite a bit of work. So yeah,
that thing's nasty. I was just talking about that. What about yourself, Lyle? You had some you had some time.
Yeah, Lyle.
Yeah, Lyle.
I mean, I've said it 3 times, so I'm just going to say Land Raider. It's been years since Land Raider has been good, and I just want it to be good again. I just want to run Land Raiders.
Oblit guns are sexy. I'll give you that.
I do need to do our my best Tom impression, though, Brad. Now, we are 40 minutes into this video. We have 50 people watching. We got 23 likes. If you guys have time, if you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, comment, help our algorithm, all that. Really appreciate it. It would go a long way with helping us continue to get content out there and talk about this nerdy hobby that we all love. We also, at this point, 40 minutes into the stream, Brad, maybe we should talk about the question in the title of the episode.
Sure. I just started playing Kesha for you, but like, you know, whatever.
So one of the most interesting things I've seen so far is the Swarm Lord's new data sheet, right? And it looks fantastic, but he caps out at Strength 9. I haven't seen a single melee profile outside of Girly Man that I think can actually play ball with tanks, right? And I feel like that paints us into this really weird spot.
Well, that's our title. It's just so far we haven't seen anything really big dog with melee. We've seen some characters with a shit ton of attacks, but to be able to do something to tanks if we have still a tank-ish meta, and maybe we don't. We just have a shooting meta because you've seen things like Oath of Moment and Double Oath of Moment and Devastating, whatever the keyword that says I get mortals. I don't know which one it is. Lethal, Devastating, Sustained, RKO, Kung Fu Master, whatever the keyword that says I get mortals, that one. You can see a lot of tank killing with that.
Well, I agree with, we have a comment in chat from Steve. We have not seen the data profile on Chain Fist. We have not seen Centurion assault drills.
I thought we have. Where do we
Chain Fist was in one of the first articles. It has anti-armor 4, so it auto-wounds.
Auto-wounds on 4s.
Yeah.
That seems fine. Why is that problematic?
Because getting Terminators across the table is traditional. I mean, yes, we can put it in a Land Raider, we can assault ramp those guys, and then we can give them advance and charge that turn, and they can get into a tank. And then now you have Terminators with their dick in the wind.
You gotta get them there also.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I mean, I feel like I understand what point you're making, Crawley, but that assumes a lot of information we don't have. We don't know, like we've only seen the one profile that you're talking about. We haven't seen plenty of other melee weapon profiles. We don't have any idea context of how easy it's going to be to get those things across the board. We don't have any context of what tournament train is going to look like or what they're encouraging train to look like on how easy it's going to be to hide in the middle or hold a point. We don't have any idea on what any of the stratagems that the melee specific armies might have. Like we just don't have any kind of information on any of that. I understand your premise that if a big heavy thing shoots in the back or sits on the back line of the table, we don't have any information right now to say that we could get to it. But I feel like that's a very different statement than saying we don't have any information or we have information that indicates we can't.
But let's take a step back, right? currently we have a problem with the shooting meta, right? And a lot of that functions on a lot of places not having terrain. Us switching to be able to facilitate one side or the other in a neutral capacity. Us switching to 10th edition does not automatically call up all the TOs and give them free terrain, right? In addition, we haven't seen, and we've seen a significant number of characters and really cool things, but we're seeing I think the highest strength that we've seen is Gurliman's 12. But outside of that, we're not seeing high strength counts, but we are seeing high toughness counts, right? And even in the example that Brad gave, fantastic. You take a Terminator squad, you've got 2 of those dudes with the freaking gigantic chain cannons of doom. You got 20 shots hitting on, let's say you can give them a buff and hitting on 2s, and then let's say you can give them +1 to wound, and now you're wounding on 5s and 6s do mortals. That's an average of like 6 mortals and then a 3 or 4 saves. You're not killing the tank on average, and then you charge in and you do it. The problem that we're seeing with everything that's revealed so far is the only thing that can deal with tanks is tanks, right? Well, if I can go through hoops to be able to figure out how to make this cool unit kill tanks, or I can just bring more tanks, what am I going to do, right? Tanks kill tanks. Tanks also kill infantry, but infantry can't reliably kill tanks. Cowabunga it is.
I mean, other than like a Baneblade, which has a billion guns like we talked about, how many tanks have we seen that have both a lot of dedicated anti-tank shooting and at the same time enough anti-infantry shooting to deal with if someone brought 300 of something?
So I'm going to answer your question with a question. Currently, are you afraid of playing against 300 Cadian shock troopers?
No.
Why?
I have 12 aggressors in my list.
Right. You have some armor, they're going to have to do a lot to kill it, right? But if everybody's running 300 things, blast weapons become prolific in the meta, because if the meta list is that, I need to be able to deal with that, right? If tanks can only be dealt with by tanks effectively on a base level, I'm not saying some factions, Lord knows Tau will have anti-armor 2 on every battle suit and just be able to like molt things,
yeah,
right?
with AP5.
With AP5, yes. And rerolls to wound against vehicles or something.
Whoa, to hit and wound, thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Don't sell it short.
I forgot Tau said. But no, in these circumstances, right, we're talking about the base of the game without going faction agnostic, because some factions are going to do really well with something, some aren't. No infantry that we have seen can deal with a tank, but the tanks can deal with tanks, right? Like even in the Tyrannid one, because I've got that pulled up, the Rupture Cannon, strength 18, looks like it'll be able to do pretty good to hit on 2s if it sits still, and it's got 48-inch range. We're looking at a meta that's currently kind of similar, hopefully not too similar, to 8th edition when like Repulsors came out, where basically we're going to see a lot of tanks because not a lot could deal with them super easy at that time, right?
I understand what you're saying. I just disagree with you that it's appropriate to make that determination at current time. I just don't think there's too many other things that we just don't have a full picture of. Is it possible? It is entirely possible that what you're saying could happen. And I believe that if it does become a meta at the beginning of the edition where everyone only plays vehicles, since all the data sheets and points are going to be online, that they'll just do something to make all vehicles way less desirable to play. They'll address it. Now, will it be annoying for the first couple of months if that's the case? Sure. I just don't feel comfortable saying for sure that's what's going to happen yet. I feel like we have less than 10-15% of the total information that we're going to need to understand what the meta will look like and what the rules will be and what the missions will be. We don't have even close to half of the information we need to make that determination yet. Have we seen enough information to prove that you're wrong? Absolutely not. But I don't think we've seen enough to confirm 100% that you're right either.
No, I mean, I know, but this is the topic of the current thing with the current information, right? I was not the one who suggested is melee dead.
Yeah, no, I'm taking this as a devil's advocate to you to discuss this topic. Is that maybe it's dead, but can we say it's dead yet? I don't personally think so.
I'm throwing the gauntlet down because it's funny, because we're on the internet and I'll be quoted for ad nauseum for the beginning of 10th edition that infantry is probably going to be fine. There'll be reasons that we have to take.
Yeah, if they're going to be overpowered, we're just going to go with what Anna said. After they sell all those vehicles, then the anti-tank comes out. and slash tinfoil hat.
What faction's coming out? Oh yeah, Admech. Admech doesn't have any anti-armor
Click.
options whatsoever.
Chicken walkers go boom.
Wait, I heard there is a new Space Marine unit coming out that's called Tankers or something like that.
Tankers.
Yeah.
There's a new chaplain model that comes out that has an aura of give every model within 6 inches anti-armor for cowabunga.
So going back to what Lyle and Crowley were saying, like we saw a tank today that has some amount of obsec. It's not like we don't really know what obsec is going to look like or objective control or whatever. Like tanks, while they might hit hard and they might invalidate some things, what if they just can't take objectives? Then you're paying for things that you're not putting in places that matter, and they're just stolen by whatever is quickest with OBSEC that walks up.
I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to take as many Sentinels as I can possibly take in an army and just regen them and just screen everybody out from the objectives.
What if Sentinels can't deal with tanks?
Well, then I'm going to freaking get a better Sentinel. I'm going to orc that shit up. Loot some battle
He's gonna
cannons
put
on
the
top of it.
Tankers in the Sentinels.
Yep, the Dessa tankers are going to be on the shoulders of the Sentinels.
Yep.
They'll get regened also because they're part of my unit.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm just so excited to see when it's like people are going to be like, my tank's going up to the center. It kills your one tank on the center and then charges your second tank on the center so I can get my OC onto the objective. It's going to be madness. But no, I hope that melee's good. I don't like metas that skew in any specific direction. I'm just based upon my many years of wargaming experience and knowing full well that Warhammer community does not give us all the information. I don't know how you deal with armor in the current situation because they haven't given us anything in any of the faction things that says, hey, this deals with armor really well. It makes me worried about Cal, right? Because Riptides. Oh boy.
Kyle was on this from almost the first week I think we started getting any information. But Kyle said, just based on what we've seen, he thought that Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights would be the best armies right out of the gate if they're focusing on vehicles, because they're going to have the ability to fight both for sure.
Well, the problem, seriously about that though, it's a good point, because anime says that the objective marker you can't end your move on it. So like if you're playing big tanks, you're playing knights and stuff like that, like you could literally just kind of sit between a wall and the objective and just give the knight the finger and just go, what?
We're playing by intent, sir. I am 1 inch behind the objective marker and next to this building. I am physically unchargeable.
Exactly.
No!
Knight's like, seriously, man, would you like to come out? Nah, I'm going to stay here. I'm good right here.
The other problem that Knights have that will always be a problem and what makes them very difficult to play competitively until such a point that, like, when they're too good, obviously they're too good, Castle and Meta go burr. Knights absorb shots too well, right? When you're doing normal allocation in a competitive turn, you're trying to allocate the bare minimum required to kill something, right? Knights require so much that you can overcommit to them and it doesn't necessarily screw up the rest of your turn. That's one of the biggest problems that Knights have. It's also one of the reasons why Imperial Knights do so well right now with the Bond, because having 4-up invulns changed the math to the point where they can reliably have them in enough spots where it can be just annoying to try to allocate enough attacks to kill one without undercommitting or overcommitting. But yeah, that's why Big Knights suffer so much, right? Like, I have a Rupture Cannon in my list. It does 2d6 damage. If I'm shooting into one tank, it's like, do I put multiple Rupture Cannons into it, right? But if I'm shooting into a Knight, it's like, yeah, I'm going to put all my shots into it. Why not? It's got 33 wounds. I got to do whatever I can, right? I'm not worried about overcommitting at that point.
Got to do what you can do.
I think all of these things also hinge on, we still don't understand the chart on how to hit to wound. Well, to wound is going to work. So, like, in the
I
current
thought they
game,
said that it was still going to work the same way in an article.
The people at Warhammer Fest said that they did that. I just don't know because they were playing basically the Combat Patrol version of it, so I don't know. I'm assuming
we're talking about strength on strength, though, or strength on toughness?
Strength on toughness.
Okay. So you still get buffs on to wound, and 10 cracked out orcs in a walk can still kill a knight. So that it could still happen in the next edition.
True story.
Like what does it matter if you're going to toughness 55 if you have, stacking bonuses that reduce it.
Because at the maximum in that situation, let's use the orc situation, we'll give you all the buffs. You're exploding on 5s with Goths. You're in the wall, but now you're wounding on 6s goes to 5s, right? So in that circumstance, even if you have 10 of them, 50 attacks, you're going to hit with half, but then, oh God, now we're going into math, 30% explode, so you get 30 hits. In that situation, you only would get approximately 8 wounds, and then your AP 1 to the save. Yeah, and then your AP 1. So the math for the fact that we're making ourselves wound on 5s and 6s and everything goes to 6s to wound, right? This is where me and Brad aggressively disagree. I don't care if you're auto wounding on 6s.
I do.
The math screws you up so much. Yes, you can dice spike me. You can also dice spike me doing anything else, right? But when the majority of the meta is wounding on 6s, it's going to create really bad situations. Now, dice spikes will occur, but
I'm going to the wall real quick just so I can read this comment, but mainly because I just want to say the name that Paint Celestine is amazing. Any concern for armies that aren't known for their vehicles like Sisters?
I mean, Sisters have fantastic vehicles. They're just not needed. What's the double Melta? I just completely screw things up.
The Immolator.
Yeah, they have the new Predator tank. They have the organ of fiery death and destruction.
That's all going to be on make Paragon suits great. Just make them not vehicles.
No, they want to be vehicles, man. They want to be tough.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I just love that currently those are like, hey, watch Abaddon walk through this wall. We can't figure it out. How did he do it? The guy's like David Blaine.
Yeah, the Immolator. Thank you, Brandon. But I can't think of a single army.
I said it.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
I'm engaging with chat, sir.
Okay.
I can't think of a single army that I don't have a host of tanks because I absolutely love. I own 2 Ares warships for Custodes. You know how often I play those? Never. But you know it'd be really cool if they were actually like tough freaking 18 or something and good.
You know what I'm looking forward to?
Tantalus.
3 storms.
God damn it. I hate that.
Now, I'm not going to disappoint you with 3 Tantaluses, Brad, but I will disappoint you with 3 Storm Surges.
Yeah. Before we go anywhere, because we're getting at the end, is it currently Kyle's fault that demons are the most played in all of armies right now?
So I do want to point this out because Kyle and I were talking while I drove home from the tournament yesterday. There is that ELO website out there. Kyle is dramatically higher on that website than I expect because he's only been playing for 3 months and he's only lost once. He's got the highest ELO of all time for demon players.
Not the ELO, not the ELO. I have a silly win percentage. It's 96.
Yeah.
But my ELO,
because he's only got 3 months worth of tournaments.
My ELO is mid. My win percentage is huge until I start having to travel out more and then play and then down.
The secret: just play in your local meta forever. Be the hero that we have but we don't deserve.
Indeed. Somebody prop something up. What are we talking about tonight? What are we ending with? What are we promoting?
We have a hobby stream on Wednesdays. We should promote that. We have a Thursday show, Brad. What are we talking about on Thursday this week?
Good question. I got to get guests for this week. I may or may not have been a little lax on that. No, I'm not. I got to confirm with Todd and Laura that we're going to have them on to talk about the Northeast tournament circuit.
Okay.
See, I remember
by then you'll have 3 or 4 more armies to talk about.
Exactly. I like these faction focus articles a lot. I love the cards. I was actually Eloise did my little interview yesterday, and I said that was my favorite thing that's come out so far is that they have data cards for strats for the units and things like that, and they have all the information, and they basically make it relevant: who, what, where, when. You know what I mean? So I think we're gonna have less misunderstandings and weird rulings and shit because they are trying to make things better in their verbiage.
Yeah.
So I want to add something quickly before you close it. You probably say anyway, but much like preventing forest fires, Death or Glory needs everyone's help in spreading everywhere that we can be. We're trying to hit all of these numbers.
Like syphilis.
Yeah, well, I said forest fires, it's nicer, but push this out to everyone that you know. People who care about 40K, people who love 40K, anyone who is interested in 40K. Tell them to come watch the streams and go to the YouTube page, go to our Facebook, anywhere that we can get people in more activity. We need it desperately.
Desperately. Only you can prevent forest fires. Only
Syphilis,
you.
according to Lyle.
Or syphilis. Either one. Okay, you know what? I'm ending on that.
No. Plugging. Salt City GT. Please go to the Salt City GT. It's in Syracuse, New York. I don't know the dates, but it's awesome. It'll be right after
2 weeks after the 10th edition launch.
Yep.
There won't be forest fires there.
MCM, fantastic event. Please go. Make people very happy. We will have a good time there. Rocky Top.
Also, if anyone drops from Rocky Top, please go to that because I can't let Kyle win another GT. I need someone to stop him.
Wait, Kyle's coming to Rocky Top?
Yes.
I got you, fam. Don't worry about it. He ain't gonna get.
All right.
We good. We Gucci. And yeah, that's support us. Watch our streams. Be ready. Again, we're talking about 10th edition launch weekend. DOG will have lots of content. Please come. We will be doing awesome things. Brad will announce things whenever he's ready because he's Brad and he's short. Have a blessed night.
None of these are false, everyone. Later.